Priyanka, you're watching It's Simple. This video is for English class 10th, and in this video we are going to discuss 1 minute summary of the chapter The Making of a Scientist. Okay, so let's start. A former scout of the year excited the scientific world with a new theory. This he did at the age of 22 years. It was on how cells work. Richard H. Bright and his college roommates explained the theory in an article. It was titled Proceedings of the National Academy of Science. It was his first achievement. It started with butterflies. Bright was the only child of his parents. They lived in North Pennsylvania. Bright wrote that there was nothing to do. He could not play football or baseball, but he could collect things. Bright started collecting butterflies in kindergarten. He also collected rocks, fossils, and coins. He also became a stargazer and an eager astronomer. His mother encouraged him. She took him on trips. She also bought him telescope, microscopes, camera, and other equipments. Bright sold his article at 15 to a scientific journal. It was like a home run scored in the game of baseball. Bright's mother said that she was his friend until he started school. She would bring home friends for him. He was her whole life after her husband's death. Richie was in 3rd grade then. Bright's mother would find work for Richie if he had nothing to do. It was for learning. He wanted to learn. He earned top grades in school. When he was in 2nd grade, he had collected 25 species of butterflies. These were found around his hometown. Then Bright's mother gave him a children's book. It was The Traveler of Monarchs. It told how monarch butterflies migrate to Central America. This opened the world of science to Bright. At the end of the book, readers were invited to help study butterfly migrations. They were asked to tag butterfly for research. It was being done by Dr. Friedrich Urquhart of Toronto University, Canada. Bright started tagging monarch butterflies, and anyone who found a tagged butterfly was asked to send the tag to Dr. Urquhart. The butterfly collection seasoned around reading lasts 6 weeks in late summer. Chasing them one by one won't enable one to catch many. So Bright raised a flock of butterflies. He would catch a female monarch and take her eggs. He would raise them in his basement from egg to adult butterfly. Then he would tag the butterfly's wings and let them go. Soon Bright began to lose interest in tagging butterflies. The reason was that there was no feedback. Only 2 butterflies had been caught. Their distance was not more than 75 miles from where he lived. In 7th grade, Bright got a hint of what real science is. He entered a country science fair and lost. His entries were slides of rock tissues. He realized that the Winters had tried to do real experiments. So he decided to do a real experiment. The subject was the insect word that he had already been doing. He wrote to Dr. Urquhart for ideas. Back came many suggestions for experiments. These kept Bright busy all through his high school. These also led him to prize projects in country and international science fair. For his 8th grade project, Bright tried to find the cause of a viral disease. It killed all monarch caterpillars. He thought the disease might be carried by a beetle. He tried raising caterpillars in the presence of beetles, but he didn't get any real results. But he showed this experiment and won. The next year, his science fair project was testing the theory. The theory was that viceroys look like monarchs because monarchs don't taste good to birds. Viceroys taste good to birds. So the more they look like monarchs, the less likely they are to become birds' food. His project was to see if the bird would eat monarchs. He found that a starling would not eat ordinary bird food. It would eat all the monarchs it would get. The project was placed 1st place in the zoology division. It came 3rd overall in the country science fair. In his 2nd year in high school, Bright began the research. It led to the discovery of an unknown insect hormone. Indirectly, it led to his new theory on the life of cells. The question he tried to answer was simple. What is the purpose of 12 tiny gold spots on a monarch's pupa? Everyone assumed that the spots were just ornamental, but Dr. Urquhart didn't believe it. To find the answer, Bright and another student built a device. It showed that the spots were producing a hormone. It was necessary for the butterfly's full development. This project won Bright 1st place in the country fair. It also won the entry into the International Science and Engineering Fair. There he won a 3rd place for zoology. He also got a chance to work in Walter Reed Army Institute of Research. As a high school junior, he continued his advanced experiments on monarch pupa. That year, his project won 1st place at the International Science Fair. In his senior year, he grew cells from a monarch's wing in a culture. He showed that the cell would divide and develop into a normal butterfly wing scales. This would be only if they were fed the hormone from the gold spot. That project won 1st place for zoology at the International Fair. He also worked at the Army Lab and at the US Department of Agricultural Lab. The following summer, Bright went back to the Department of Agricultural Lab. There he worked on the hormone theory. Finally, he was able to identify the hormone's chemical structure. A year and a half later, Bright got the idea for his new theory about cell life. He did also while seeing the X-ray photos of his chemical structure. The photos gave him the answer to one of biology's puzzles. It was how the cell can read the blueprint of its DNA. DNA is the substance in the nucleus of a cell that controls heredity. It is the blueprint for life. A Bright and his college roommate James drew pictures and constructed plastic models. They made them to show how it could happen. Together they later wrote the paper explaining the theory. Surprisingly, Richard Bright graduated from Harvard with highest honors. He also became a graduate student researcher at the Harvard Medical School. There he began experimenting to test his theory. If the theory proves correct, it will be a big step towards understanding life processes. It might also lead to new ideas. These would be new for preventing types of cancers and other diseases. Bright has other interests also. He became a champion debater and public speaker. He also became a good canoeist and all-round outdoor person. He is also an expert photographer on nature and scientific exhibits. Bright also found someone to admire. He was Richard A. Weiheder, his social studies teacher. Bright said about him that he opened his mind to new ideas. Richard also spoke highly of Bright about his interest. He won because he wanted to do the best job. These things are necessary in making of a scientist. First-rated mind, curiosity, and mix it well to win for the right reasons. Bright had these qualities. ओके तो इसी के साथ ये समरी यहीं पे खत्म होती है, पर अब इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चंस देखते हैं जो कि पिछले सालों में आ चुके हैं. 2017 में क्वेश्चन आया था कि व्हाट आर द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट इंग्रेडिएंट्स रिक्वायर्ड इन द मेकिंग ऑफ अ साइंटिस्ट अकॉर्डिंग टू रॉबर्ट. तो ये लास्ट चैप्टर के एंड में इसका आंसर मिल जाएगा. दैट इज दीज क्वालिटीज आर फर्स्ट रेटेड माइंड, क्यूरियोसिटी, विल टू विन फॉर द राइट रीजंस. ओके 2011 में क्वेश्चन आया था, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. व्हाट लेसन डिड Bright learn when he does not win anything at the science fair? Bright learns a lesson that the real experiments would win him a prize. It was not simply a neat display of things. The real experiment showed the things clearly and proved the point. The subject he knew was about the insect work. He had been carrying the work in past several years. ओके तो इस तरीके से तुम इसका आंसर फॉर्म कर सकते हो. और इसी क्वेश्चन के साथ ये वीडियो यहीं पे समाप्त होती है.